Did you read the leaflet?
Yes, I did.
As you understand from your brother's experience.
If you fail to fall in love with someone during your stay here, you'll turn into an animal.
A dystopian society requires that all single adults find true love in 45 days or be turned into an animal of their choice in The Lobster. That's coming up next on JO42 Reviews. A24 hits another home run, this time with The Lobster, starring Colin Farrell and Rachel Weisz. The film, helmed by director Yorgos Lanthimos, continues A24's tradition of somehow making the weird and surreal seem trendy and sexy. This time, we're whisked away to an unnamed city where the single life is outlawed. All adults are required to be in romantic couplings or be transported to the hotel, a luxury resort where they will have 45 days to find a mate or be transformed into an animal and released into the woods. The story revolves around David, a withdrawn college professor who checks into the hotel after being left by his wife. Throughout his stay at the hotel, the tension hovers delicately over the minute social interactions of the guests, all of whom are gripped by the quiet paranoia that surrounds them. They do not attempt to find love, but rather strategize on how best to gain the system. David eventually escapes and joins a militia movement dedicated to fighting the power structure in place at the hotel, but his newfound allies have a maxim of their own. Nobody in their group is allowed to be romantically involved. All persons within the group must remain abstinent and emotionally disconnected or face brutal punishments. As you can imagine, it's here that David meets the love of his life, played by Rachel Weisz. Such is the setup for an endlessly thought-provoking romp through the world of modern-day courtship pomp and circumstance. This is a film that demands to be seen with a friend, as it's sure to provoke discussion. The Lobster is being marketed as a commentary on modern relationships, but that's really not the case. The film is better understood as a meditation on political extremism. The hotel, with its communal living environment and mandate that all persons partner up, can be read as an indictment of communism with its propagandized emphasis on countrywide, state-enforced camaraderie, while the Woodland Militia Group can be seen as a condemnation of fascism, wherein the emotional connection is not mandated but rather squelched in the individual to create a ruthless fighter. The ultimate message is that neither system fosters happiness for the individual, and that even in escaping such dichotomies, the individual can still remain lost and uncertain of how to live in a world that has left them up to their own devices. As 2016 gears up to be one of the most divisive election years in U.S. history, the true message of The Lobster could not be more salient to North American audiences. Watching The Lobster, I was reminded of the 2001 film Conspiracy, starring Kenneth Branagh and Stanley Tucci, which tells the true story of the Wannsee Conference, where Nazi officials met to discuss implementing the final solution. I say this because both films focus on how the suppression of dissident thoughts and ideas is often accomplished not at the point of a gun, but rather through the careful manipulation of decorum and etiquette, and that hierarchical suppression functions at all levels of the hierarchy. With such an ominous undercurrent, it's hard to think of The Lobster as a comedy, especially as its true nature is revealed. One of the unfortunate problems with marketing foreign films to American audiences is that their intent has to be masked by more conventional branding. The Lobster is not a romantic comedy. Its love story is not endearing, but rather deliberately uncomfortable. And it's not a comedy. The laughter one hears in the theater is that of a mind not sure whether to be amused or deeply terrified. The Lobster is something altogether more sinister and infinitely more rewarding to the viewer. A24 tried a similar gambit with The Witch, wherein they marketed an occult art film as a conventional horror movie, and that approach seems to be working. Already The Lobster has made back double its production costs. If this is what it takes to make these kinds of films successful in the US, then so be it. Thumbs up.
If you enjoyed this commentary, please help me continue to bring you more content by making a donation to patreon.com/JordanOwen42. Your contribution will help me turn this channel into a hub of libertarian pop culture discussion and current events commentary. Thank you for listening, and as always, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already.